Let's continue the discussion on the behavior of the graph of a polynomial function, but this time, we will be describing the end behavior of the graph of a given polynomial function. Sabi niya, if the degree of the polynomial is odd and the leading coefficient is positive, the end behavior of the graph is falling to the left and rising to the right. Again, if the degree of the polynomial is odd, say y is equal to ax raised to an odd degree, sabi niya, and the leading coefficient is positive, so a is positive, then the end behavior of the graph is falling to the left and rising to the right. So, paano sundan yon? So, if this is the graph, pag sinabi mo na yung polynomial mo has an odd degree, example, y is equal to 2x cubed. It has an odd degree, 3 is odd, and it has a coefficient which is a positive, so ang 2 ay positive, automatically, the end behavior will be falling to the left and rising to the right. Okay? So, pag dinrawing mo yung graph niya, yung end behavior niya is falling to the left and rising to the right. Next. If the degree of the polynomial is odd and the leading coefficient is negative, the end behavior of the graph is rising to the left and falling to the right. Okay? So, if it is odd and negative naman yung leading coefficient, say y is equal to negative a x raised to an odd degree, say y is equal to negative 2x cube yung iyong leading coefficient. Tapos, say this, sige, sabihin na natin 5. 5 is also an odd number. Say y is equal to negative 2x raised to 5 is your leading coefficient, or should I say leading term. And negative 2, or the leading coefficient of negative 2x raised to 5 is negative. And the degree is odd. Automatically, the end behavior of the graph will be rising to the left and falling to the right. Again, if the degree of the polynomial is odd and the leading coefficient is negative, automatically the end behavior of the graph is rising to the left, and falling to the right. Next. If the degree of the polynomial is even and the leading coefficient is positive, then the end behavior of the graph is rising to the left and rising to the right. So, say we have y is equal to ax raised to an even degree. Say, we have the leading term, kunwari in the given function, we have the leading term positive 2x raised to 4. Okay? If your leading coefficient is positive and your degree is even, automatically your graph will be rising to the left and falling, or should I say rising to the left and rising to the right. So, ganyan na magiging itsura ng graph mo. Again, if the degree of the polynomial is even and the leading coefficient is positive, the end behavior of the graph is both rising to the left and the right. Next, if the degree of the polynomial is even and the leading coefficient is negative, the end behavior of the graph is falling to the left and falling to the right. So, if you have y is equal to negative ax raised to an even degree, say for example, negative 2x raised to negative, should I say negative 2x raised to 6. 6 is even, and negative 2 as your leading coefficient is negative. If that's the case, your graph will fall to the left and fall to the right. Okay? So, that's how you describe the end behavior of a polynomial function. To summarize it, say the sign of the coefficient is positive and odd, and behavior will be falling to the falling to the left, rising to the right. Okay? If it is negative and odd number, it will be rising to the left, rising to the left, and falling to the right. If it is an even degree with positive leading coefficient, automatically both are rising. Both are rising, both left and right. If it is negative, if it is the leading coefficient is negative, and automatically the end behavior will be both falling, both left and right. So that's how you describe the end behavior of the graph. Let's have an example. Say, these are the sample of polynomial function. Sabi niya, if the degree is, say, number 1, y is equal to 2x cubed minus 7x squared minus 7x plus 12. So, step 1, look for the leading term. Leading term is the term that contains the highest degree. 3 is the highest degree. Correct? So, therefore, 2x cubed is the leading term. Okay. So, 2x cubed is the leading term. If the leading term is 2x cubed, now observe the leading coefficient. Okay? If the leading coefficient is positive and the degree is negative, should I say positive as well, and it is odd, automatically, yung graph mo daw ay falling to the left and rising to the right. Okay? Next, say you have y is equal to negative x raised to 5 plus 3x raised to 4 plus x cubed minus 7x squared plus 4. Say, in this function, what will be your leading term? The leading term is negative x raised to 5, correct? In which the leading coefficient is negative and this is odd. So, if it is negative, then n is less than 0, the degree is less than 0. So the leading coefficient is less than 0 and the degree is odd. Therefore, it is rising to the left and falling to the right. So, ano magiging itsura niya? Sabi niya, rising to the left, falling to the right. So, anong itsura ng graph nito? Possible sketch niya pa ganito. Okay? So, this is the possible sketch. Next, if you have y is equal to x raised to 4 minus 7x squared plus 6x, and the leading term is x raised to 4, and it has a leading coefficient of positive, and this is even. So, kapag tignan natin yung kanyang leading coefficient, the leading coefficient is greater than 0, and it is even. Okay? Kung even siya, tapos positive ang leading coefficient niya, automatically, ang left hand niya ay rising at ang kanyang right hand is rising as well. So, this is rising. This is also rising. So, possible sketch. Possible sketch niyan, pag ganyan. Okay? Next, number 4. Say we have y is equal to negative x raised to 4 plus 2x cubed plus 13x squared minus 14x minus 24. And the leading term is negative x raised to 4, in which the leading coefficient is negative and the exponent or the degree is even. So, for this, n is less than 0 and it is also even. If it is negative, then yung itsura na ng graph nyo, falling to the left at saka falling to the right. So, falling to the left and falling to the right. So, possible niyang graph will be like this. Okay. So, that's how you technically describe the end behavior of a polynomial function. Now, let's continue. Now, let's have an example. Which of the following could be the graph of the polynomial function y is equal to x cubed minus 4x squared plus 3x minus 12? So, step 1, look for the leading term. Leading term contains the highest degree exponent. So, 3 is the degree or highest degree. Therefore, x cubed is the leading term. Now, x cubed has a leading coefficient of positive. Tama? And the graph is odd. So, process of elimination. Saan dyan ang pwede nating tanggalin? Sabi niya dito, if it is positive, the leading coefficient is positive, and the degree is odd, therefore, your graph falls to the left and rises to the right. It falls to the left, it rises to the right. Tama? So, kung titignan mo sa 4 na example, nasaan dyan yung graph ng x cubed minus 4x squared plus 3x minus 12. Yung left hand niya, nasa baba, at yung right hand niya, pataas. Okay? O, tingnan natin yung letter D. Sa letter D, yung left hand niya pataas, yung right hand niya pataas. So, this is not the answer. Sa letter C naman, ang right hand niya pababa, ang left hand niya pababa. So, this is also not the answer. Sa letter B naman, ang right hand niya ay pababa at ang kanyang left hand ay pataas, which is also wrong. Which leaves us to letter A. Tingnan naman natin ang letter A. Ang end behavior niya, ang right niya is rising to the right, ang kanyang left hand is falling to the left. Tama? So, the correct answer here is A. Next. What are the end behaviors of the graph of f of x is equal to negative 2x plus x cubed plus 3x raised to 5 minus 4? So, ito yung function natin. Step 1, hanapin mo yung leading term. Ang leading term natin siya yung may pinakamataas na degree. Nasaan dyan ang may pinakamataas ang degree? This term. Correct? So, our leading term is 3x raised to 5. If that's the case, observe the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient is positive and the degree is odd. So, if odd siya, ibig sabihin, it must be falling to the left tapos rising to the right. So, ibig sabihin, ang graph niya, falling to the left at saka rising to the right. So, ganyan yung graph and behavior ng graph niya. So, nasan dito ang tamang sagot? Letter A, rises to the left and falls to the right. Wrong. Falls to the left and rises to the right. Correct. Okay. Next, pag nabasa nyo na yung salitang both, ibig sabihin, even po ang kanyang degree. So, ika-cancel mo na siya. Hindi na siya kasali. So, again, the correct answer is letter B. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is also wrong. Next, say your classmate Linus encounters difficulties in showing a sketch of the graph of y is equal to 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 6. You know that the quickest technique is the leading coefficient test. You want to help Linus in his problem. What hint or clue should you give? So again, ito yung function. Nasa ng leading term? 2x cubed is the leading term. 2x cubed is the leading term. And this is positive. And this is odd. So ibig sabihin, the end behavior will be falling to the left and rising to the right. Okay? So, nasaan dyan? Letter A, the graph falls to the left and rises to the right. Ayun na yung tamang sagot. Tapos ito, the graph rises to both. O, yan may both na naman. So, ibig sabihin ito, even. Wrong. Letter C, the graph rises to the left and falls to the right. This is negative and odd. Okay? The graph falls to both left and right. So, ibig sabihin ito, even and negative. So, letter A is the correct answer. So, that's how you describe the end behavior of a given polynomial function.